Welcome to books that are so addictive.
Hey guys, I'm trying to reduce my screen time and get back into reading.
Here's some books that are so good.
I am fully convinced that consuming book content completely skews our reality of what is actually normal in everyday life. I literally feel like scrolling through hours and hours of TikToks, of book hauls, and our physical TBR, and all of these things fully rot our brains and brainwash us into thinking an entirely different reality is normal when it isn't. Today I want to chat about 5 more things that I think book influencers have brainwashed us into thinking are normal that are not normal. And again, all credit for this video idea comes from Susanna. I will put her video here and link her video in the description. She does this with everyday lifestyle influencers, and I think her content is very intelligent and she has a lot of great things to offer, so you should definitely check it out below. Okay, let's get into it. I have my little notebook here. I feel like Chapel Roan at the Grammys. Something that I think book influencers have brainwashed us into thinking is normal is never using your library. I feel like most readers that I meet in everyday life use their library all the freaking time. For digital books, for audiobooks, for physical books. I feel like in my circle of book friends and book lovers, we're all avid library users and support a local library constantly. However, any of the major book influencers, I never see them posting about the library or even going to the library in any of their videos. I just find this so interesting, and I don't think it's bad that they don't go to the library, although I do think that more influencers should be promoting the library. It's freaking awesome. But I do think it's not normal. I feel like from watching this content, we start to think like, oh, every single person buys every book that they have read. But that actually isn't the truth, and most readers aren't doing this. Most of us are using our library constantly. But our reality gets skewed because when we're consuming this content and we never hear mention of the library or see anyone using it, it feels like no one's doing that when people are using the library. Libraries are freaking awesome, and they offer a lot more than just books. You can also use the internet there, use computers, you can usually print things there. Libraries are such an important part of our society and our communities, and I want us to be supporting them more. So if any of the major book influencers are watching this, please support your library and post about it. Most of us smaller creators and just readers in general who don't make content are using the library, and it's cool to see us represented in you. Just my opinion. The second thing is only reading short books in order to reach a very, very large book goal. This is very common. I think Jack Edwards has an entire video about this exact thing, like short books that you can read to start off your book goal right for the year. And I get it. I have a book goal. I love a book goal. My book goal for this year is 70, which I recognize is very, very high and unattainable for most people. And it's probably an abnormal book goal to have. I think most people, the average person, is not reading that much. And I recognize that and I own it because I know that it's not a bad thing that I have a high book goal. It's simply abnormal. I also think it's abnormal to only read really short books in order to reach your book goal. I feel like we're so caught up in the numbered book goal and wanting to read 70 books, 100 books, 200 books that we're we don't actually care if we even enjoy what we're reading anymore or if we're actually reading what we want to, as long as we hit the book goal. I'm guilty of this too. For my book club this month with my friends, actually, my friend chose The Bee Sting, which is a 630-page book, and I was kind of annoyed because I was like, this is gonna take me so long to read, it's gonna fuck up my book goal, I'm gonna be off pace. I should not be thinking that way. I should be thinking, oh my god, I've heard such amazing things about this book, I'm so excited to read it. But instead I'm like, I could have read 3 books in the time that I only read 1 book, what a waste of a book. Girl. No, that's so weird. That's so abnormal. I should not be thinking like that. And I'm checking myself and I'm telling myself to take a deep breath, find my zen, and calm down. Because it is totally normal to read whatever length book that you want to read that you enjoy, because reading is a hobby and not a competition. And I shouldn't be letting my book goal decide what books I read. Should be letting what books I read decide my book goal. Annotating every book extensively. To be clear, I love annotating. My personal annotations look like this. Here, I can show you in my book that I'm currently reading. When I say that I annotate books, this is what I mean. I underline lines in a book with a black pen usually. I don't do any of the tabs, even though I think I would like to do that in the future, and I do think that it's a fun thing to do. But I don't think you need to be doing this to every single text. I see a lot of people online reading a romance, and they have 6 different highlighters for every single different theme in the romance. They're highlighting it, they have the tabs, and again, this is fine. Honestly, it looks pretty fun, and if you enjoy doing this, pop the fuck off. I love that for you. But if you are someone who doesn't want to do this and is like feeling guilty because all of these like book influencers are doing this, I need you to hold my hand and I'm gonna tell you that you don't need to do this. It's not normal. If you were to scroll through my For You page on TikTok, I would be thinking that like 80% of people are annotating like this when that isn't the reality. Probably about like 1% of readers actually annotate like this, but those 1% are the ones that make book content. So it feels like more do this than that actually do. So if you've been feeling like you're like a failure or not a good reader or whatever because you don't annotate, I want this to reality check you and tell you that it's okay if you don't annotate at all. And it's also okay if you just annotate in a different way than most book influencers do. It's fine. You're allowed to consume your books and mark them up or not mark them up however you please. They're yours. Having a super long physical TBR is not normal. And why have we been convinced that it is? I said at the beginning of the year that I had 36 books unread on my TBR and that this was way too many books and I felt like really weighed down by my TBR. And tell me why most of the comments were like, your TBR is so short. 36 unread books, that's ridiculous. That's a really big physical TBR. I have dwindled it down to like 23 now, I think. Proud of myself. I feel like we see these videos of book influencers being like, I have 150 books in my physical TBR. And I just want to say that the average reader doesn't even really have a physical TBR. Like I feel like, again, most of the readers that I know in my life who aren't like book content creators have like maybe 3 unread books in their TBR. Like I feel like this is something that we have normalized way too much, having these like super long TBRs. And I don't think it's normal and I don't think it's great. There's this quote that everyone likes to quote about like the wine, like how I think it's like your TBR is like a wine rack and you let your book sit there and then like when you're ready for it, you pull the correct book. I do think this is slightly just an excuse to like overconsume books without guilt, but I do think we should have just like a little bit of guilt about it because it is not normal and it doesn't feel good to overconsume these books. Like having a bunch of items in your home that you haven't read or like haven't actually interacted with is kind of a weird feeling for me personally. I don't like the feeling. So I just feel like we need to stop normalizing and acting like it's normal to have 150 unread books on your TBR. Like stop buying books and read those. When I was a kid, I used to buy books only when I was literally out of books to read. Like I would go to Costco. Oh my God, let me know if this was you. Literally all my books when I was younger were either from the library, and if I actually physically purchased them, they were from Costco. And the Costco in my hometown, Kingston, Ontario, doesn't have a book section anymore. And it literally is devastating to me. That is where I used to buy all my books. So it makes me so sad. But anyway, I would go to Costco and I'd be like, okay, I'm reading The Hunger Games. I need the first book of The Hunger Games. And then I would finish that book and I'd be like, Mom, I need the second book of The Hunger Games. And she'd be like, okay. And then she'd go buy the second book. Like, what happened to that? I'm trying to get back to that. Like, only buying books when I like don't have any more books to read. That's what my goal is for the year, is to have 5 unread books in my TBR, and I can't buy any more books until I only have 5. That is my goal, and I honestly would love it to get to 0. I would feel so freaking accomplished if it was at 0. I want to be on like I'm buying it to read it. I just think it's so exciting when you like finish a book in a series and you go to like run to the bookstore to get the second book in the series. Like I love that feeling. I don't know why we started collecting books in order to like have them sit on our shelf. Like I think it's so much more exciting to like finish a book and be like, what's my next read gonna be? I get to go buy it. I do understand there is some nuance here though, because like I buy books secondhand, so when I see a book for $2 that's usually $30, I am gonna buy it secondhand, even if I'm not gonna read it immediately, because it is a huge money save. So I get the nuance here, but I also just like really just want to like denormalize having a long physical TBR. I feel like we all need to like chill for a bit. Immersive reading. And before you start telling me that I'm like the shittiest person in the world for saying this, hear me out. I immersive read. And if you're not chronically online, then like congratulations, I would love to know what that feels like. Immersive reading is when you listen to the audiobook while reading the physical book, or digital, but like you're reading the book and you're listening to the audiobook at the same time. So you're like following along with the audiobook. I've done this a couple times. I did this for A Man Called Ove because I had to read it for book club and it was the morning of book club and I simply couldn't get it done in time. So I got the audiobook and put the audiobook on like 2.5 times speed, which is like way faster than I could like physically read. And I followed along that way because it just helped me read faster. I've also done it with a couple other books. I've heard a lot of people say that it's really, really good to do with classics, and that's like a really good way to get through like Jane Austen, Charlotte Bronte, like things like that for the first time, because it just helps you like get through a classic and understand the language based on like the tone that the author is reading it in, or the audiobook, the audio actor, the voice actor, I suppose. However, I will say I only do this when if I already own the book, and then if I can get the audiobook from the library. Like, I don't understand people who are like buying the physical book and then also buying the audiobook. I think that's wild. That is so expensive. And it's fine. Again, if you can afford it, then that's awesome. Like, whatever, like fucking more power to you. Maybe this entire video is just me being jealous because I can't afford things. But like, it just feels unnecessary, and I feel like sometimes the amount of people who are doing this on my feed, like I swear to God, like it seems like most people do this, which isn't true. I know that that isn't true. It isn't normal. Most people are not doing this, but with how much it pops up on my feed from people doing this, it would seem like it's like the thing everyone's doing, but it's not. Like, it's not. Most people aren't doing this. Do not let like the book social media space brainwash you into thinking otherwise. Like, people aren't doing this. I do think it's great. I've heard ADHD folks say that it really helps them get through books easier, and I love that for you, and like that's amazing. But I am saying it's very expensive, and most people aren't doing this. And so don't feel like guilty if you're like, I really can't afford to get both. Then don't. You don't need to do this. And if you feel like it really helps you with your ADHD and you're trying to find like ways to get through books easier, and you think immersive reading is a good solution, I would love to suggest to you the library and to use that, because then it can actually be affordable. But from what I see, people are like buying the book on Amazon and then listening to the Audible book. I'm not even gonna get into Amazon right now because I'll literally black out. But like, don't fucking support Amazon. Do not call yourself a book lover and support Amazon. The two do not. They don't mix. They don't mix. Okay, those are all the things. Let me know if you have anything else you see book influencers do that you're like, that isn't normal. Tell me if it's something that I do, because I know I do some things that are not normal, and I would love to be called out, because I love being called out. I love being humbled. I love you so much. I do not take for granted that you took time out of your day to spend it with me today, and I really, really appreciate you. It was so much fun hanging out with you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you for being here. Also, I have a vlog channel, so if you like hanging out with me, and if you think I'm a little bit funny, a little bit quirky, a little bit fun to hang with, then you should totally go watch that. It's a little bit more casual, more yappy, even more yappy than here, if you can believe. We just bop around town, we do fun things together. It's a good time. I love you so much, and have a great day. Mwah! Subscribe to me if you wanna.